On a tip that came in last night through the night, investigators began the process of following up on that tip this morning, starting around 10 o'clock this morning, following up on that tip. And the tip was very specific that led us back to this location here today.
There's a shocking twist in Philadelphia, and it's breaking hearts everywhere. Human female remains were found buried in a shallow grave on the grounds of an old abandoned school, and police believe they belonged to 23-year-old Kada Scott, who had been missing for just a few days. When people first heard she'd been found, most thought it was good news. Maybe she was alive. But no, it was her remains that were discovered. The shock hit hard. What's even wilder is that police had already been searching that same area for nearly a week, and somehow they didn't see her there. That grave wasn't hidden deep either, so now people are wondering, did someone move her body after the first search? Did they plant her there once police had already cleared the area? Then there's the strange story about her brother. Witnesses said he was seen coming out of the nursing home around the time others were trying to get in, which raised serious eyebrows. And it doesn't stop there. People claim he even pulled out a weapon and told them to get back. What was he protecting? And let's not forget about this woman named Gabby. Folks say she's been talking plenty, but not really saying anything. The whole thing feels like a mystery movie where everyone's playing a role and nobody's telling the full truth. Now let's rewind a bit. Kada was last seen by her mom on October 4th, heading to her job at a local nursing home. She showed up for work that day, but strangely, she left before finishing her shift. The next morning, when she didn't come home or show up to work, her family filed a missing person report. They also told police that in the days before she vanished, Kada had confided in them and her friends that someone had been harassing her by phone. That's scary. Police soon learned she had been communicating with a man named Keon King, and that she might have met up with him shortly after leaving work that night. When the report hit the media, the police publicly asked for help finding King's car, a 1999 metallic gold Toyota Camry with Pennsylvania plate MSX0797. They believed Kada may have been inside that vehicle. Later that same day, police confirmed they located the Camry in an apartment complex parking lot. That's when things really started heating up. Two separate tips came in. One led officers back to that old elementary school, where they reportedly found evidence of value. The second tip pointed them straight to the missing vehicle. But here's where the case gets even weirder. When people online started digging into the story, they realized some of Kada's social media accounts had vanished, but police confirmed they weren't the ones who deleted them. Normally, investigators leave profiles open to track any possible movement or communication. So who deleted them and why? Even more confusing, Kada left her car behind, but took her phone. That doesn't add up. And though she mentioned the harassment, she apparently never explained the full situation to anyone. Unless the police are holding that info back, it's another piece of this twisted puzzle that just doesn't make sense. During the first school search, investigators found several of Kada's belongings: a cell phone case, iPad case, glasses, and even an ID card with her name on it. Days later, another tip came in, directing officers to search again, and that's when they found the shallow grave. Inside were human remains, believed to be Kada's. Police released an emotional statement saying, while conducting a search of the property, investigators discovered a shallow grave and recovered human remains believed to be those of Kada Scott. This is a heartbreaking development, and our thoughts are with Kada's family and loved ones during this extremely difficult time. The Philadelphia Police Department remains committed to uncovering the truth and ensuring that justice is served. This whole case is tangled, emotional, and suspicious from every angle. Too many strange coincidences, too many people acting off, and way too many unanswered questions. Something about this story just isn't adding up, and the truth might be darker than anyone expects. Apparently, the remains were found deep in a wooded area after police got a very specific anonymous tip overnight, and that's when everything took a chilling turn. Officers started their search early the next morning and ended up finding human remains behind Ada H. Lewis Middle School, an abandoned building sitting near Aubrey Arboretum in Germantown. The location alone gives you goosebumps. But here's what's got everyone talking. Police had already been combing through that exact same area for almost an entire week, a full 7 days. Yet suddenly, after one mysterious tip, they find her body in that very same spot, and she wasn't even buried deep. How in the world does that make sense? Are we really supposed to believe trained investigators searched that location over and over and somehow overlooked a body lying right there in plain sight? Or, and this is what many people are whispering, did someone move her there later and then conveniently alert police once they knew it was safe for her to be found? It's really starting to look like someone placed her body there on purpose, but who did it and why? Of course, the first person on everyone's mind is Keon King, since his name has been tied to Kada from the start. But people are convinced he wasn't acting alone. That's where another name enters the mix: Gabby, the woman many now see as an alleged accomplice. See, Gabby's been talking non-stop about Kada's case online, sharing her thoughts, theories, and even personal connections. But instead of helping, it's making people even more suspicious. Everyone's asking, girl, what exactly do you know? Because according to what people online are saying, one of Gabby's friends allegedly mentioned Kada was dead before the news had even broken publicly. Now that's strange. How would someone know that unless they heard it directly from someone close to the situation? Once people started calling Gabby out, she went into full defense mode, dropping a long, "let me clear things up" post. Here's what she wrote. "I'm Gabby, and I want to clear some things up. For one, I did not know Kada personally. I knew her little sister. We were friends when I was growing up, but we grew apart when I was around 11 to 12. Throughout my whole life, me and Kada have probably exchanged 6 words to each other. We were not friends, just neighbors. Second, me and Keon were friends before any of this stuff happened. I had no idea about his past behavior before Kada went missing. Keon called me and asked if I knew her because he noticed she lives close to me. I told him that I did know her, but not personally. This was not out of the normal because Keon would usually call me to talk about girls. That was the entire conversation. We were on the phone for 29 seconds. I did not go to the cops about this information because, for one, he had already turned himself in. 2, there was not much to tell. We had a 32-second conversation where he asked me if I knew Kada. 3, you know how the streets are. I don't know where you're from, but around here we don't talk to the cops. That's just the way I grew up. My sincerest prayers go out to Kada and her family. I pray she makes a safe return home." Now, on paper, that might sound like a normal statement, but when you really read between the lines, something feels off. Gabby admits she barely knew Kada, which is fine, but then she says she was friends with Keon, the same man accused in this whole situation, and not just distant friends. She straight up admits he called her right before Kada disappeared, specifically asking if she knew Kada. What kind of question is that? Why would a man suddenly call up a friend to ask if she knows a woman who's about to go missing? That's no casual check-in. And that last line, the one where she said, "My sincerest prayers go out to Kada and her family. I pray she makes a safe return home," would have been comforting if she hadn't already implied Kada was gone before anyone officially knew. Like, how are you praying for her safe return if you already suggested she wasn't coming back? That's why so many people online are side-eyeing Gabby hard right now. They feel she's saying just enough to sound innocent, but holding back the details that could change everything. Because if what people are whispering is even halfway true, Gabby might know way more than she's letting on. And that anonymous tip that suddenly led police straight to the body? Yeah, people are starting to wonder if that wasn't so random after all. This story is getting darker by the day, and it feels like we're only scratching the surface. Did Gabby know something before it all went down? Is she protecting someone or just trying to clean up her image now that people are connecting the dots? Because once the internet started putting pieces together, her name wasn't the only one that started raising eyebrows. Now the brother's actions have folks seriously questioning everything. Like, why was he reportedly seen coming out of the nursing home right as people were trying to get in? And why would he allegedly pull out his piece on folks just trying to help? If you're grieving and desperate for answers, why escalate like that? It doesn't make sense. Was he scared, angry, or was he trying to protect something inside that building? Because the whole thing feels off, real off. And those random tips that started pouring in, what was that about? First one call, then another, all coming out of nowhere, and each one somehow leading police closer to new discoveries, yet never quite giving the full picture. Who were these callers? And how did they know where to send investigators every single time? Something about the timing feels too convenient, like the story was being guided behind the scenes by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Now here's where things get even more complicated. People are starting to question whether Kada actually knew Keon King better than anyone realized. Some think she might have gone with him willingly at first. Maybe she trusted him, maybe they had some kind of prior connection no one's mentioned yet. Because honestly, the way this whole situation unfolded seems way too smooth for a complete stranger setup. Could this have been a twisted kind of love situation gone wrong? And just when you think it can't get darker, turns out King has a serious history. He's actually facing charges in a previous case from earlier this year, one that sounds eerily similar. Officials said it involved another woman who was kidnapped and strangled, but she somehow survived. Those charges were dropped after the victim didn't appear in court, but now prosecutors say they're bringing that case back. That's huge because it might show a pattern. Based on reports, in that earlier case, the prosecutor said King grabbed a woman right in front of her car, threw her inside her own vehicle, beat her up, and eventually let her go. That's terrifying. Think about that. He allegedly snatched someone right outside her home, hurt her, and just released her like nothing happened. And now, months later, another woman turns up missing under suspiciously similar circumstances. That's not coincidence. That's a cycle. So now everyone's asking the hard questions. How many times does someone get away with something this serious before it escalates into something even worse? How did the system let him walk free after that first case? If he had already been accused of something that violent, why wasn't he being closely monitored? It's hard not to wonder, did the justice system fail Kada the same way it failed that first woman? Because this feels like more than just one man's actions. This feels like a breakdown of protection, oversight, and accountability. If he was capable of something this extreme before, then someone, somewhere, missed big warning signs. And the scariest part, there might be other victims out there who never spoke up, maybe because they were scared, maybe because they didn't think anyone would believe them. That's the kind of silence that keeps these stories buried until it's too late. So now we're left asking, was Kada's tragedy preventable? Or are we only now seeing the full picture of something that's been quietly happening in the shadows this whole time? And the biggest question of all, who else was involved? Because one thing's for sure, too many pieces aren't adding up, and the truth feels like it's still just out of reach. This story's messy, painful, and full of unanswered questions. What do you think really happened here?